All right, welcome into Heating Up, episode 2. We're talking Auburn and Alabama basketball. Got a new addition to the crew. Riley Norris jumps in. Riley, how you doing?
Good. Happy to be here.
So, what do you have any records? Do you have like the most games played record at Alabama?
So I'm holding on to it barely. I think Dante Hall, maybe
Well,
Levi
I don't think he's
Randolph.
playing any more games, so you should
Yeah,
be
I know.
okay.
So I'm in good shape, but they're at 135. I still hold on to 136 games played, so most in the career at the University of Alabama. So it's been a good record to hold on to. I'm trying to hopefully that these one and dones keep coming, so they won't stay there for 4 or 5 years like I did.
Well, what does that say to y'all, Drew and Cody, about Riley's career that you got the most games played?
Means he was there for a really long time.
He wasn't good enough to leave early too. Is that what it is?
No, that's an awesome accomplishment. You know, we all strive to get there and play one game, and he's playing 136 of them. That's pretty cool.
True. Hey, that's durable too. That's something. Well, glad to have you, Riley. We'll jump right in. We're going to kind of talk a little bit about Friday night's games because both Auburn and Alabama got wins on Friday night. And then we'll jump kind of more in depth on last night. We're recording on Wednesday, so Tuesday night game with Alabama beating South Alabama. So let's jump straight into the Alabama game from Friday. Alabama 104 over South Dakota State 88. Game was in Coleman Coliseum, 10,546 people there. That's 69%. I thought another great student crowd and a so-so other crowd. They're still getting, I guess it's still football season in Tuscaloosa. Anything else, like just straight off the bat, jumped out to y'all about that game?
I thought it was a good game for us. By us, I mean Alabama, and the fact that San Diego State returned 99% of their scoring from last year. They're starting 5, so they're a veteran team that went throughout the whole season last year of, the bumps and bruises you go through and trials and errors, and they're a well-tested team, picked to win their conference this year. So it was a good game for us to they hung with us at first, and then Bama kind of got on a run and ran away with it. But it was a really good test for the second game of the season.
What do y'all think? What are the thought process behind when you're going to play a smaller school playing somebody that's good, at the top of their conference? I feel like it's kind of a risky game to schedule because there's a chance you get beat if you don't play well. Is there any difference in playing, the top of a conference as opposed to playing the bottom? Like, we'll talk about the Auburn ULM game, but ULM is not picked to win their conference.
I think it is. I think you kind of find out where you are in the season. Offensively, defensively, transition defense hurt Alabama. We'll discuss in the South Dakota State game. They're a really good 3-point shooting team, and Alabama struggled to get back at times, even after made baskets. And South Dakota State exposed them. So I think having a team that can score the ball with shooters scored inside, get to the free throw line, knock down the free throws. I think playing those quality opponents this early in the season will only make you better and fix the things you need to fix.
So let's jump straight into team stats. Drew, let's go with you first. Anything jump out to you about the team stats in that game?
Yeah, so what I really liked, when we talk Alabama, we talk pace of play. And one thing that stood out to me was only 8 turnovers. A lot of times when you have a guard-led team, especially that's playing fast, you have a lot of turnovers, which, we'll discuss later in this next game. But, also along with that was, again, Alabama had 19 assists, which leads, which means they're sharing the ball, they're having fun, they're getting open shots for their teammates. And my third stat that kind of jumped out to me was 47 rebounds, and 18 of those being offensive. So crashing the board, getting second chance points. I thought that was really big and what led us to kind of run away with the score and end up winning that game.
Riley, is there a team stat that was something that is super important, kind of a team goal going into every game? Is there anything in particular y'all are looking for?
Yeah, I think the biggest one is you want to win the rebound battle. Rebounds and turnovers. Getting those second chance points are huge. And Alabama did really well, like Drew mentioned, cleaning up the boards, getting those offensive rebounds, those putbacks, those second chance points. The turnovers are really good, 8 turnovers. The one stat that I would like to see improve Alabama in the category would be the free throws. They were 9 of 14 from the free throw line, but getting to the line only 14 times isn't putting a lot of pressure on the defense. I feel like as a team, you got individuals going 14 times to the line on certain teams. So seeing that stat increase, seeing more pressure put on defenses and fouling more. South Alabama did foul a lot more. the game we'll talk about later. But I think seeing that and being more aggressive, driving downhill, not always settling for the three is also going to be big for Alabama moving forward.
You got anything, Cody? Anything team wise that jumped out? Just kind of looking at the box score, watched the game a few days ago.
Well, what jumped out to me was how well Quinterly played. I know I was sipping a lot of the J.D. Davison Kool-Aid coming off that first game, but Quinterly kind of just showed, hey, I've been here, done that. It's complete control of the game. I think he had 26 points and 8 assists. Just looked like the leader out there that in the floor general that Alabama needs.
Yeah, let's go ahead and move to individual players because that's something that I wrote down. The 26 points is big, but I mean he took 24 shots. He's 11 of 24. Quinterly 4 of 15 from the 3-point line. Did that surprise y'all at all? That many shots going to Quinterly?
Not with the volume that Alabama takes. And plus with Quinterly being our key guy, and as you've seen in these first 3 games, our best offense is when he's in control of it, whether it's coming off screens and hitting the roll, or if it's, driving and kicking or driving and finishing over a big. He is our best operator as far as creating offense for others. So and he's a really good shooter. He shot over 43% from 3 last year. So I like him taking a lot of these shots. Hopefully he starts hitting them here soon because he struggled a bit from outside the arc in these first 3 games.
Yeah, it's a small sample size, but right now he's averaging 7.73 points attempts a game, and he's shooting 21% from 3. So it's not getting it done.
Not where you want to be. And talking about Shackelford, if we'll jump to him, kind of a similar game in a way. 23 points. He's 8 of 17 from the field, so still not super efficient from Shackelford either. 3 of 8 from the 3-point line. What have you guys seen out of Shackelford early in this season?
He's been aggressive. I think going into the season, coming back, I've been in the transfer portal and coming back to Alabama. I think that one thing he needed to prove on was not only being more aggressive, but I think some of the shot selections, some of the fast breaks, it's a lot of 1-on-3, which he's correcting. I think he's, finding more people, trying to spread the ball around more. And he mentioned, I'm listening to an interview after the first game, and he mentioned he's trying to do more. He's trying to be more active on the defensive end, take charges. I know this last game he did really good taking charges and trying to play help side defense and just do the little stuff that they need because, losing a guy like Herb Jones is hard to replace. He may not score a lot of points, but he's going to fill the stat sheet up in other ways that it's hard to replace. But like I said, I think he's very, very talented. Everybody knows he can score. I mean, going to the game, they're recruiting when they're doing the scout. I know I can see it on the board. It's make him pass the ball. Let's don't let him get open shots. Let's make it tough on him and make some other guys score. So I think he's doing a good job. He's got to keep improving. I mean, it's early in the season. A lot of guys are going to go through lulls and shooting lulls, but just stick with it and keep doing what you're doing.
Anything else guard play wise that jumped out to any of y'all? We can jump to Keon Ellis and his big night after that. But anything else out of Quinterly or Shackelford or Davison too? You can jump into that.
Well, just kind of add on to talking about Shackelford. I was really expecting him to be put in, roles in where he's distributing the ball and being the primary playmaker. And I've yet to see that this year. Of course, a small sample size. I think he's only averaging like 1 assist right now. I know he is being active. I agree. He's all over the floor impacting the game. But, when you lose somebody like Herb and you have a big, void that needs to be filled as far as just getting the ball to the right place at the right time, I was kind of expecting Shackelford maybe to fill that role a little bit better.
Well, I mean, I guess it hurts getting assists when they are sharing the ball so well. It's kind of whipping around. Yeah. So it's not like, an offense where you got the lead guy coming off a ball screen and he's making the play to the shooter or the big. Right. It seems like Alabama's equal opportunity right now. And it's hard to say that when you say Quinterly's your point guard and he takes 24 shots, but it didn't seem like it was kind of equal opportunity.
And I think it's different to go along with Cody's point. I think it's a little different. We expect him to do this and do that. And Herb was so good because he was long. I mean, he's 6'7". He's got a probably 6'10" wingspan. It's easy for him to slice into the lane. He's smart. He jump stops. He avoids charges, and he can find people. So I think as the season goes on, he's going to improve his role, and he's going to do a lot more. But, yeah, there hasn't been as much. It's been kind of like last year, coming off ball screens, pass, got the shot, drive to the basket. But I'm interested to see how kind of evolves.
Drew, you got anything else on any of that guard play before we jump into Keon Ellis and his big man night of rebounding?
No, y'all kind of hit it all. I think we touched up on it well, and looking forward to see their shooting improve.
Yeah, and we'll talk a lot more about when we move to the South Alabama game. But what about Keon Ellis for you guys? You know, he had 15 points, but I was much more impressed by the 13 rebounds in the game. What is he bringing to this team? And kind of my topic question on this is right now, is Keon Ellis the most valuable member of the team? I mean, he's doing a lot.
So I was thinking about that earlier, and I wrote down, if you look at Alabama's team, they have 3 players averaging over 30 minutes a game. And you can probably name all 3 of them. It's Quinterly, Shaq, and Keon Ellis. And out of those 3, I believe there's a 1A and a 1B, and that's Quinterly and Keon Ellis to me. For me, Keon, every good team needs a dog, a guy that's going to out-hustle, out-rebound, and can score the ball. And Keon's doing all 3 of those at a high level right now, averaging almost a double-double. And as I mentioned earlier, Quinterly, he's controlling this offense, running it right, distributing the ball well, and it's been fun to watch. But for me, it's hard to not go with a two-way player, the 3-and-D guy that's doing it all right now, as the MVP for your team.
That's what I was saying, the two-way ability. So, Riley, what's your thoughts on that? I mean, I get that he's not the high name and he's not the Quinterly and the Shaq, but the guy is doing it on both ends of the court and rebounding the basketball when you're not getting a ton out of your bigs right now. You know, how do you evaluate the guy that is doing it on both ends? Maybe he's just not that natural scorer that everybody wants to look to.
Yeah, I agree. So to answer your question, yes, I think he's the most valuable player right now on the team. Rebounding, passing, shooting, making good decisions, guarding the best player, taking charge, just doing the little things. He's trying to fill in like I said, the void for Herb. But to go along with it, I think Drew kind of mentioned JQ, and I think a lot of teams know that he's going to be one of the guys going to handle the ball a lot, play over 30 minutes. I think, and it showed last night, I think another key player, probably number 2 on the list, is Gary. I think Juwan Gary bringing a spark off the bench. You saw the first 2 games. I mean, they played 2 really good teams. USA is a good team too, but the 2 teams they played first were really, really talented. And that spark of getting offensive rebounds, getting loose balls, finishing around the basket. We had last night watching South Alabama game, it was one and done. A lot of one and dones, no balls getting tipped around. I mean, we just missed that. We missed that, the dog, as Drew called. You missed that. But I think Keon right now, he's the most important team player on the team just going forward. I think some other guys got a chance to step up, but without a doubt, Keon Ellis is number 1.
What do you think, Cody? What's your kind of opinion on Keon Ellis right now and how valuable he is to this Alabama team?
Yeah, and just his improvement from last year. And right now he's shooting 50% from 3, which is that's crazy, right? And he's just getting it done on all aspects of the game. Just kind of hit on your point, Riley, as I was a big Juwan Gary fan coming out of the first game, and I was ready to anoint him the next Herb Jones as far as, being an all-around defender and playmaker and just impacting the game on all facets. But Keon Ellis is showing he's a little more consistent. Obviously, Gary's got some medical issues he's got to figure out. But, I would definitely say Keon Ellis is their most important player, just impacting the game everywhere.
So let's talk about the rotation a little bit before we get out of this game, because after Gary went down, it was like a 7-man rotation. It was those 5 starters, Bediako, Gurley, Ellis, Shackelford, and Quinterly, and then Miles off the bench and Davison off the bench. I know it was a semi-close game, but that seems to be the rotation going forward. Do y'all see anything changing that other than Gary getting back healthy?
No, the only guy I can see getting some extra PT is Alex GQ, and that's just because of his size. Now, granted, we haven't seen him play yet because he missed all last year with an injury, and then, of course, I've missed the first 3 games. But with his 6'11" size and us being kind of thin on the front court, I think he'll come in and add added depth if he can produce and get in shape. Other than that, the guys you named are pretty much, I think, going to hold down those roster spots, the playing time.
Yeah, I think like you said, the guys you mentioned are going to be the main guys. They're going to have 8-man rotation when Gary comes back. I think that's kind of what, maybe 9. Maybe they're going to probably sprinkle in 9, but they're going to have the main guys. They're going to play majority of the minutes. And I think that's what Nate Oates wants. As a coach, I think 8 solid guys that's in your rotation is perfect. I think that's a perfect number. You don't want 10 because at times I can get too much, but I think Darius Miles off the bench, I think he's been really good so far this year. I think he's made a lot of improvements from last year to this year, but he's got to keep being big off the bench and shooting the ball like he's doing and getting to the rim. And you'd like to see him be a little more consistent on defense because he's long and athletic and rangy, but he has shown spurts of it. I know last night he got a big steal and big finish to kind of seal out the game, but going forward, he's going to have to continue to develop and provide that spark with Juwan Gary coming off the bench.
Y'all got anything else on South Dakota State before we move on?
I thought Bidiaco played really good that game.
I should say that too, Cody, because we kind of hated on him. I just didn't think he was ready to play that first game. He looked out of place. I did not think that the second game. I thought he played much better against South Dakota State.
Yeah, we probably should give him a little bit longer
18-year-old
leash.
freshman, first game.
Yeah.
Growing pains are going to happen, especially at the big. Usually your front court, your big guys, they take a little bit longer to get adjusted.
A lot of it too. Yeah, I agree with you. I think 12.6 rebounds, 6 of 7 from the floor. The guards made it a lot easier on him. A lot of pocket passes, no dribble dunk, a lot of lobs to the rim. He finished around the rim. He's going to be that type of impact big. He's not going to be one of those, I don't think, that you throw to the – and he's going to make some counter moves, up and unders, that kind of stuff. I think he's going to be a lot of drop downs, pocket pass, him finding the right guy when the defense collapses on him. So going forward, he's going to be really big too.
Yeah, and I guess we should hit on Gurley since we hit on pretty much everybody else. I didn't see a ton of improvement game 2. It seemed like he was like, you know what, I'm not just a three-point shooter. And he kept trying to kind of go down and back people down, and he was right there. He just wasn't making any of them. So did y'all see any improvement there, or you see something that's going to get better later on?
I'm glad to see he's still got his confidence. Sometimes when guys miss or not shooting the ball well from the floor, they'll kind of get hesitant on shooting. But, as you watch in game 2 and 3, he's still, you're open. He's going to at least attempt to shoot it. And he's shooting with a lot more confidence. And it looks a lot better now. So hopefully he'll get something to fall here soon.
Yeah. Riley, let me ask you that too. Did you ever play with anybody who came from a smaller school and you're kind of expecting a lot out of them, and it took them a little bit of transition time?
Well, I mean, yeah, we had some transfers. We had a guy, Corbin Collins. He came from Morehead State. That was my junior year. So he came from Morehead State, and I don't remember, honestly, the start of how he started out. He was a guy that was a lot like Gurley, coming in from a smaller school, Morehead State. We relied on him. He started at the 2 guard, so we relied on him to be kind of a scoring factor. We needed him to come out and score 12 to 14 a game for us to, have a good chance of winning. So the biggest thing I think is trying to find your flow, right? I mean, this is a new group of guys coming in. That's the one thing about transfers. There's a bunch of them, but they also got to find their groove with a team that they never played with before. But I think he's going to find it. Nate Oates, the good thing about Nate Oates is if you can shoot the ball, he's going to tell you to keep shooting. You're going to come out if you don't shoot the ball. So he's going to have that confidence. It's only a matter of fact of him seeing them go in, and just, like I said, game by game, he should continue to develop.
Yeah, I see big things for him still. I like how he plays. The only thing that maybe he lacks a little bit of just physical prowess down low. Like Alabama will go small and he'll be the 5, and he gives up some weight to some guys that Alabama's had, kind of play that pick and pop, but still be on defense, be that factor. I haven't seen a lot from the interior defense from him yet.
That's kind of what I've noticed. He seems to be a really smart player, but just kind of get lost in the shuffle, when things starts getting haywire.
And he might be a guy that once maybe it becomes a little bit more structured later on, running a few more sets and stuff, that's better for him than just out there playing motion where the guards kind of take over, or they throw the lob to Bidiaco. And if Gurley's not knocking down shots, it's, hey, where do I fit in on this?
Yeah, I think that's kind of developing and finding his role right now. That's kind of what the early season's for, and trying to figure out, what can I bring to the team that no one else is bringing right now, or is a weak spot on the team. And I think he's kind of going through that. Maybe it's not him being the 12-point a game scorer. Maybe it is. Maybe it's not. Maybe it's, getting 8 to 10 rebounds a game, or, guarding one of their best players. It just depends. So it kind of changes game to game, depending on who you play.
All right, so let's move on because we're going to come back to Alabama in just a little while to talk about the game from last night. So let's move to the Auburn game from Friday night. Auburn 93 over ULM 65. That game was in Auburn Arena, 9,121, 100% sellout. The game was really up for grabs for most of it until like the last 8 or so minutes. Cody, anything jump out to you about the Auburn ULM game right off the bat?
Well, I guess I could go with the obvious thing. Jabari Smith just absolutely having a showcase on why he was this highly sought after recruit. I mean, just showing all of his ability. But I guess I'm going to go with the impact that Katie Johnson had. I know he filled the stat sheet with points and the stuff that you can count and stuff, but he was just always touching the ball, just always active, just being a little bulldog out there. There was so many times that they throw it in the post or he'd be mismatched and he'd knock it out of their hands and it'd go out of bounds, but let us get it set up in defense. Just the little things. I really like his motor. Somebody that can score as well as he can and has the confidence that he does. I hope that he is, I hope he's okay with coming off the bench because I sure do like him in that role. I mean, that's just such a nice luxury to have that he can just come in and just dominate second units.
Yeah, I was expecting a lot of starts like this from Auburn early on with just so many new players and new pieces that haven't played together. So I wasn't shocked that they didn't play really well, especially offensively early on. But some team stats that jumped out to me, they were 10 of 25 from the three-point line, so it's 40%. And they held ULM to 5 of 20, so only 25% there. They were +9 on rebounding. Auburn was 25 of 32 from the free throw line, 78%. That's what you're looking for from the free throw line, what Alabama has not been doing so far. And then assisted turnovers, 17 team assists to 10 turnovers. Those are just kind of some of the basic stats that jumped out. Riley or Drew, either of y'all, any team stats that all jump out from the Auburn game?
I think the biggest one, two of them that stood out to me were you named the free throw, getting to the line 32 times and converting on 78%. That's really good as a team. That's really, really good and really, really big for later on down the season. And I think the 10 blocks, it kind of shows you how athletic Auburn is. Even with Kessler off the floor, if they put Jabari at the 5 and they may move Chris Moore in there at the 4. I know he played 21 minutes last game. I thought he was a good addition off the bench. 21 minutes, hit 16 points, 4 rebounds. He's 5 of 9 from the field. Wasn't taking a lot of shots. Was very efficient. But like you said, Bruce Pearl's teams are known to be really energetic. Katie Johnson's going to come in the game. He's going to provide that spark. He's going to get into you full court. And they're going to compete around the rim. It's hard to score, especially when you play at Auburn. Something's different at Auburn, the crowd, the intensity, and then trying to finish around the basket. They're always long and athletic and find ways to, compete and block shots. So those two stats really stood out to me.
Anything else for you, Drew?
Y'all pretty much touched up on it. There's only 10 blocks on the stat sheet, but all those shots that got changed in between that maybe didn't turn into blocks, those are also key into getting rebounds and getting transition points, getting out on the break, because that's where your pace of play and a lot of your easy buckets come from is block shots, getting it, throwing it up the court and getting layups or getting kick out threes that are wide open. So
yeah, I thought that was one of the differences in the Alabama game and the Auburn game of South Dakota State scoring 88 and ULM 65 was, ULM didn't shoot the 3-ball well enough to stay in the game. And then, like y'all are saying, the length really bothered them down low. So unless they got to the free throw line, it was a struggle for them to score. I was going to jump into a couple of individual stats that jumped out to me right off the bat. Like y'all said, Walker Kessler, he only took 3 shots. They didn't really go to him much, but he affected the game. He had some rebounds. He had 4 rebounds, 3 blocks. So, what do y'all think about just a 5-man? How important is it for him to score if you've got a team that's got some firepower? I mean, is it important for Kessler to get 8 to 10 points a game?
I think it's an added bonus. I mean, when you look at both teams, especially coming from the Alabama side, you don't expect your biggest to score. You expect your guards to score the points and your biggest to get lobs and putbacks and easy buckets like that, just clean up the trash. So if you've got guards that can score, or for your case, you got Jabari Smith, who's a 6'9" forward that can stretch the floor and score from 3 different levels, I'm asking that 7-footer to stay down low and change shots, get block shots, get putbacks, and do all the kind of dirty stuff, the stuff that don't really get noticed as much, and help my team succeed that way.
Yeah, I kind of felt the same way, and I've heard or read some stuff where people thought he had a bad game, and I was like, I didn't think Walker Kessler had a bad game. I mean, you win by 28 or whatever, and he's got 4 blocks, and he stays in there, and he doesn't miss a bunch of shots. I mean, I don't know.
Yeah, I agree with you. I think that's kind of a lot of people, will go. Not everybody. A lot of people will go to the stat sheet, right?
2 points.
Yeah. 2 points. They don't look at how many shots they took. They said 2
Right.
points. Oh, he didn't play good. There's so many different ways you can affect the game. It's not all about the points. And I think Walker Kessler kind of gets that. And being that down in the paint presence, blocking shots, changing shots, rebounding, doing the little things is helping. I mean, Auburn scored 93 points. They obviously didn't necessarily need his points, but like Drew said, it would be an added bonus when they play some better teams defensively down the road.
Yeah, if Auburn scores 60 and he has 2 and you lose, then okay. But obviously it wasn't something. Cody, you got something else on Kessler?
Yeah. So the only issue I have with it is, I always kind of feel like a big man needs to be engaged offensively, whether that's scoring points or getting a little more shots up than he did. I know he was, handicapped with some fouls.
And granted, he only played 20 minutes. Like, they were spreading it out big time.
But you tend to get a little bit more effort and a little more, some better on the defensive side of the ball if he's feeling himself a little bit on the offensive side of the ball. That's the only.
Okay, I'm with you. Let me throw Jabari's stats right back at you since you were talking about it, Cody. I had him 7 of 12 from the field, 3 of 5 from 3-point line, 6 of 8 from the free throw line, 10 rebounds, 2 assists, 4 steals, 2 blocks, 23 points. Can't ask for much more from the freshman, can you?
Oh, absolutely not. And the way he impacted defensively too, the offensive numbers were good, but they put him up there a couple of times on the top of a 1-3-1. Or was it a 1-2-2?
Yeah, well, what y'all think of that too? Changing up a little
really
zone defense?
Yeah, I couldn't really tell what it seemed like it devolved into 1-2-2, but I'm used to us running a 1-3-1 with Thor at the top every once in a while. But he's, just let me see. I have his defensive 4 steals, 2 blocks, 10 rebounds. I mean, he also touched numerous passes, just impacting the game. And I really appreciate his effort he's given on the defensive side. And I mean, that's really just going to help him in his future if, scouts are saying that he's got a really good shot and offensive skill, but also is getting after on the defensive side.
Really I loved his quote when they asked him something about, it was a great rebounding game from you on the radio after the game. He said, well, I mean, guys, I'm 6'10". If I don't get at least 10 rebounds or something, I had a bad game. I appreciated some big recruit still, wanting to do that kind of dirty work.
Yeah, his plus minus was 10.5 in the positive. So
that was kind of the front court, and the rotation there was the same thing. Auburn played 9 guys pretty much, and then walk-ons. Kessler he only played 18 minutes actually. Cardwell with 15. Jabari played 29. Jalen Williams played 15. They did a little bit of Jalen Williams at the 5 with Jabari out there to play a little bit different. So I thought that was something interesting. Anything else big man wise, Cody? Any of y'all that were looking at the stats? I think Jalen Williams 3 of 4 from the field with 3 blocks in his 15 minutes. I mean, that's what you ask for from a backup big guy.
Yeah. I thought Cardwell, I thought he brought some good energy.
Cardwell, let me mention that real quick. Cardwell, 7 rebounds in only 15 minutes of playing time. He didn't take a shot. He had 1 assist, 2 steals, 2 blocks, and 7 rebounds in 15 minutes. That's what I want my backup 5-man to do.
Absolutely.
I mean, he don't care to shoot the ball. That's his thing. He's like, I'll come in there and do rebound, do whatever coach tells me to do. And you need one of those guys, man. You need one of those guys that's going to defend their tail off and compete on the offense and defensive end, and just, be that guy that they can count on to get 7-8 rebounds a night.
What's he calling it? Have y'all seen? He says he's team red this year, and they're like, "What are you talking about? It's rebound, energy, and defend." He's all in, man. This dude is all in.
Hey, it must be with a capital E. I saw him make a block or do something and just went crazy right in front of the students, got everybody fired up. He's a character, man. He's got high energy.
Dancing with his shirt off at football games.
Yeah.
Before we go, I'd like to talk about Jalen Williams just a tad bit. He didn't shoot the ball as good this last game. He seemed really confident shooting the ball the first game, and I was I was really
Well, he didn't shoot it
impressed.
as much. He shot it well. He just didn't shoot it very much.
Yeah. I know, but it didn't look like he was looking for it as much as he was. Like maybe he wasn't as confident in it. But I've always appreciated his playmaking ability. He seems to make high post down to low post passes as well as anybody on our team, and he looks for those kind of passes, and just kind of adds a new wrinkle when especially when you come off the bench, and he's a high energy player looking to give us different looks on the offensive side.
Yeah. I guess the next thing really to hit on would be that kind of the wing position. Really, in the Auburn offense, 2 and 3 are the same offensively, but not defensively. But you like to have a bigger guy there. Devin Cambridge, not his best game. I think he went 0 for 4 from the 3-point line. He played 19 minutes. Chris Moore ended up playing more minutes. He played 21, and he does kind of go inside a little bit at the 4, but really he plays the 3 with 2 bigger guys, and then will take a bad matchup down low. I thought Chris Moore was really good, 16 points, 4 rebounds off the bench, 6 of 6 from the free throw line. What are y'all's thoughts on such different players kind of having the same role? Like Devin Cambridge is this spot up shooter that's inconsistent, high energy defense, rebounding. And then you got Chris Moore who comes in, who's definitely high energy defense, rebounding, but he's much more interior passing, team basketball type guy than Devin Cambridge. What do y'all think of one position splitting it between 2 completely different players?
I like it personally. I think it's kind of a game to game basis, like where their weak spot is on defense, maybe, or as a coach, that kind of makes game planning a little bit easier. Meaning, maybe Cambridge is 0 for 4 from 3 or from the field, and let's give Chris Moore a shot. If he, if he's ride the hot hand, he's 5 and 9 from the field. He's got 16 points, 4 rebounds. Maybe he gets a little more playing time tonight. I think that just adds versatility to their offense and also their defense.
Yeah, I know we have had discussions going into the season. We're talking about how Chris Moore might get lost in the shuffle a little bit. I'm glad to be proven wrong. I mean, he's obviously showing that, he can impact winning in different ways. Cleaning up garbage points and just being really active and have a high energy out there. So I'm really impressed with what I see. And that, Cambridge has always been like that. He's kind of feast or famine. But you got to respect his off when he's on. He's as good as anybody out there. So I really do like having that flexibility with somebody's a little more consistent, just getting the dirty points and impacting the game on the defensive side. Whereas David Cambridge can have a higher upside and blow some teams out just because of his offensive ability.
Yeah, I think it's just key. As long as one of them's playing good, then it's awesome. You don't have to have both of them necessarily playing well, but as long as one's playing good and giving you production, then that's good to have, and that can help these other guys and get you some wins.
Let me ask this to Riley, and anybody's got thoughts, jump in on this, but how important is it for a guy? So Chris Moore is like the guy who's breaking it down. Like he's the guy like huddling everybody up, in the locker room. He is one of the only returning players. He's taking all the freshmen and the transfers in, and Bruce says he's like one of the most popular guys on the team. How important is it for somebody who's got that kind of role to also have some success on the court? Is it important at all?
I do a little bit, but I mean, for the most part, no. Being in I think the guys respect you because you're going to compete in practice every day when the lights aren't on. So they're going to listen to you. You're going to gain their respect. You've been there for a certain amount of years. You're an older guy. I think that kind of goes hand in hand with Jabari. Obviously, he's their best player. I mean, he's going to be the guy that's going to be the guy to stop each and every night. But having a leader like Chris Moore who can, huddle them up and he can get their attention and he, he's been there for a while. I mean, there's nothing like experienced players. Yeah, you love the one and dones. You love the 5 stars that come in and, obviously they're a vital part of the offense and defense. But at the same time, if you don't have any leadership, your team's not going to be very successful, especially when it comes to close games. I think the biggest, right now you don't really see it because, like I said, Auburn kind of 8 minutes ago, they kind of took the game under control. But when you get into SEC play or they play UConn and next week, it may be a 2-point game with a minute and a half left. And you're looking at, someone's got to huddle you up and try to motivate you to get this stop on defense. So I think it's big. And I think they respect him. I don't think it's a big factor on, Chris Moore, he may have only scored 4 points tonight. Well, we're going to stop, paying attention. I don't think it really plays a big factor into that.
Well, let's move over then to guard play a little bit. Cody, what were your thoughts on guard play besides KD? I know KD Johnson was really good, but let's talk about the two guys that started, Wendell Green, Zep Jasper. What'd you see out of either one of them?
So I thought Wendell played pretty good. He still looks pretty, he looks really good shooting it from 3-point range. You got to respect that. I really enjoy what I'm seeing on his on the offensive side of the ball. Also, he's averaging 6 rebounds, so that's really good from the guard spot. So
Well,
and he's just really
how does that happen? Why do some guards rebound the basketball even at his size and some guards don't? Yeah, is that just something that randomly happens?
No, I think it's a knack. I think as a rebounder, you got to have like another sense. Like I think if you watch the really good rebounders, like the Dennis Rodmans, they know where the ball's going when it leaves the shooter's hand. And I think even guards have that. Even though he's small, I think he gets a lot of long rebounds and gets it on the fast break. But no, I think it's a knack. I think you got to be really good at seeing the ball off their hand and just kind of figuring out where it's going to go.
He's also he comes off to me as really strong too. I mean, he don't look like just your presence out there, but like the way he plays and the way when he does go into the lane and stuff, he's really strong with the ball, and he seems like he's very comfortable in the lane and mucking it up with the big guys. I thought just to go on with the other guards, I thought Zep. I really like our dynamic we have with our guards. You have Wendell Green Jr., who's kind of the consistent primary ball handler. Got to respect his, he can hit from deep. And then you have Zep, who he's not really filling the stat sheet, but he's doing a lot of things. He's really playing good defense. With KD, I know I was giving KD credit a while ago. He's impacting the game and he's doing, everything. But he's also, you get burnt sometimes doing that. It's sometimes it's a detriment to your team defense. And I really think Zep plays well within the team defensive concept. And also, I feel good when he has the ball in his hands. He's going to make just the right basketball play.
Bouncing off that, I think he had 6 assists and 0 turnovers in that game.
Yeah.
So that's
just
pretty
solid.
impressive.
He's just super solid. Yeah.
It's almost like that situation I was just mentioning with Devin Cambridge and Chris Moore of the differences in these players is kind of exciting to me if I'm a coach. I got the Wendell Green, the guy who's going to handle it and shoot it from the top, and it's kind of that gritty guy. Another reason I think he rebounds the ball well is I think he was that underrated guy his whole life, and he just had to grind it out and do stuff. Like, I think he was a starting point guard for La Lemire that plays up in Indiana, and he had like all these recruits around him, and he was like the leader of the team and didn't really get recruited very heavy. I think that plays a factor into, are you down there getting rebounds and taking charges and stuff too?
Yeah, that's how I was getting rebounds over Riley in high school like that.
Yeah, you
Good
did.
for getting recruited.
Follow that shot and go up the back.
Luckily, no college coaches were there. They probably would have left all the back.
I hope the only thing I fear though is when we get in SEC play is Zep, if he doesn't pick it up offensively or have being a threat to score a little bit better, you might see a lot more KD Wendell.
Well, let's jump right into that because that's the complete opposite. Zep is a guy who seems to really play within himself and not really get out of the offense and that sort of thing. And then you got KD Johnson who, hey, nothing's going right. Just give me the basketball. I'm going to make something happen. He went through 4 or 5 from the 3-point line. He had 3 assists and no turnovers, 2 steals, 18 points. What do y'all think about somebody that's just so instant energy? Give me the basketball. I'm going to make something happen.
I think that's why he fits in that 6-man role so good. Everyone expect you. You got a lot of teams have their best scores in their first 5, so you kind of get shadowed. There's less shots to be taken, but when you're that 6th man, giving another guard a break or something like that, it's nice to have that energy coming out. I mean, even if you're still playing the first team on the other side, they're winded. You got that second energy. You're hitting tough shots, getting after them. It's a good relief. That's why Alabama liked Quinterly so much in that role last year. He came off the bench and added to that scoring aspect to him that, when you got a consistent scoring throughout the whole game, it's really tough to defend. And you're seeing that a lot from KD. And I think him, along with Wendell, they've been kind of the most consistent guards for Auburn right now as far as scoring the ball and running their offense and getting good looks. It's been fun to watch them two kind of go at it.
Yeah, I just think it's a really well put together roster this year. I think Bruce didn't like what he put together last year, and then when Sharif wasn't out there, he was just like, this isn't. He just went and got the best players available instead of building the best roster, and he said he wasn't going to do that this year, and it's a little bit different. Kind of going on with that. So y'all like Katie Johnson coming off the bench? I mean, is there any point where you say, man, this guy's doing so much, he needs to replace one of these guards in the starting lineup?
I think unless Zep is just hurting you with his minutes, as long as he's providing positive minutes, I think you leave it as it is until it hurts you.
I just know how ugly, like when you get deep in SEC play, sometimes stuff gets stagnant, and you just need somebody that can create instant offense like KD can. So I honestly could see him. He's already averaging a minute more than Zep is.
Yeah, the minutes
game.
in this last game was Zep Jasper had 27, Wendell Green had 27, and KD had 22. So he must have played a good bit more in the first one. Riley, were there any situations where some players played better off the bench, or just somebody's skill set just did a little bit better, or were there some players that got their feelings hurt and they got frustrated by not getting to start, and that would affect them a little bit?
Yeah, I think as a player, you kind of have a mindset where starting is like if you're a highly touted recruit, you come in as a freshman, you kind of want to start. You're like, I want to starting, get your name called out. I want to do all the stuff leading up to the game. I want to be the guy in there. But in the grand scheme of things, as you kind of develop, and Katie Johnson played at Georgia, he knows he's been through the cycle. I don't think it's a big deal to him. I think it's all about the minutes you get and how you compete with those minutes. And I think that's the biggest thing for him. Like Drew said, if Jasper's not hurting you, then, ride it. I think when Katie Johnson provides that spark off the bench, and obviously he's fine with it because he comes in with a bunch of energy. He's not sulking or complaining. He's happy with the minutes he gets, and he's going to, make a difference when he's in there.
I think starting is the biggest misconception in sports altogether, anyways. But particularly basketball, when you're subbing in, 8 guys, as long as you're in those final minutes helping your team get the win, that's all. I mean, you hear that from coaches all the time now, but getting those starting minutes, if you start the game and play 15 minutes, but this guy coming off the bench plays 25, who's really more valuable to your team? You know what I'm saying? Like, I think, and plus, I don't know, I like it how it is, and I think if they continue with it, as long as it's providing wins, then they should stick with it.
Yeah, you're just getting your best combination, chemistry-wise and offense.
It's all it is.
Yeah, I'm right there. I mean, Katie Johnson played 22 minutes. He didn't start, but that was 4th on the team in minutes. Like, he'll be fine. But do have to mention, I mean, this is all setting up for Alan Flanagan to get back too. So it's going to be interesting how he fits in because, I mean, the minutes are going to have to come from somewhere. Auburn's already playing 9 guys. That would be 10 with Flanagan.
Yeah, I think Jasper, depending on how he plays up until Flanagan comes back, I don't see Johnson starting. I see they keeping him on the bench and start Flanagan. I think if anybody's going to start, it's going to be Flanagan's going to jump into that starting lineup once he gets healthy and gets in shape. Obviously, he's got to get in game shape and gets his rhythm. But if anybody's going to come in the starting lineup, it's probably going to be, like I said, it's going to be Flanagan.
Yeah. Well, Flan was thrown to the wolves last year, and he really developed, playmaking ability on offense because he was having to handle the ball a lot for us. And, he's kind of like our poor man's Herb Jones. That's what I'm expecting from him this year. And, being able to have that playmaking ability, which I'm hoping he provides, I could see him cutting into Cambridge's minutes or, what a common theme between both teams, Auburn and Alabama, and it's a great luxury to have, is you just ride whoever's hot. It's so flexible. We're about, 9 deep and just all really good ball players. So it's really nice to be on that side. Whatever once in a while, this time around.
So all in all, positive Friday nights from both teams. The Alabama game got a little bit tighter, but good wins for both teams over kind of overmatched opponents. Let's go ahead and move into last night. We're recording this on Wednesday night. Alabama, South Alabama. Auburn's played South Alabama the last couple of years, and they have been barn burners. I think Isaac Okoro made a shot at the buzzer to beat them down in Mobile, and that was wild. I was not surprised, and I'm not being down on Alabama. I was not surprised it was a basketball game. Just if you'd have turned on the game 10 minutes in. Would y'all have been shocked that it was this kind of game?
I don't think you'd be shocked. I think you would kind of be, I don't know the word, but I don't think you'd be shocked. So Coach Riley, Richie Riley, that's at USA, I known him. He recruited me when he was at UAB with Coach Haas. He was on the assistant coach. I kind of knew his style, and he went to I think it was Nicholls State, maybe.
Yeah.
And then he took the job at South Alabama. So his style is defense. They're gonna get after you defensively, but they're gonna bring the energy. I don't know if you saw him on the sidelines. He was getting into it. He was, getting into the players, getting into the atmosphere. And they're going to compete. I know they lost the previous game to Wichita State, but it was a close game up until late. They competed on the road at Wichita State, which is a hostile environment. So I knew they would compete. So I don't think I was shocked. As an Alabama fan, you want to see a lot more energy from Alabama. They kind of came out, was kind of slow and seemed like going through the motions. I mean, sloppy with the ball, but all in all, at the end, I know it's an ugly win, but coming away with a win is always a positive.
Yeah, Drew, South Alabama in this preseason magazine I was looking at right now, they're picked second in their conference. They lost actually like almost everybody from the team the year before, but they reloaded with a bunch of transfers. I think it says a lot about Richie Riley that you can get those guys that locked into play in that kind of intense defense. I kind of hate on him. I've been watching him the last couple of years just because he gets on my nerves a little bit, how he's doing all that. But I mean, that's pretty much how I would be out there too. And I respect him. He gets guys to play hard, and he was so disappointed at the end. You could tell he put everything he had into that whole night.
Oh yeah.
At the end, he was like wiping his brow, and he's like, I mean, because they were there, so that was tough. But Drew, what's kind of your thought process? Just turn on the game, Alabama, South Alabama is going to be a dogfight, and it's kind of the little brother syndrome. These guys weren't recruited at Alabama, that sort of stuff. Even though it's a little different this year because all these guys are coming from big schools.
I was about to say, if you didn't know that they had 4 SEC players starting for them, then you'd probably be even more shocked. But and that's kind of from what I've gathered on Richie Riley, that's kind of his style, is to get these high-profile transfers that maybe didn't work out at the high D1 level and build from there. And that's kind of how he, had success at Nicholls State and all that. But as far as my reaction, if I were to tune in, I'm not shocked because it's third game of the season. But tuning in 10 minutes into it wouldn't be that shocked. But seeing it carry on like it did, I'd be more shocked because you kind of expect your team to kind of pull away, have some early struggles, and then get on a rhythm and get going. Which, credit to South Alabama, man. They played hard. They were aggressive, and they were attacking the boards, taking charges. They took 8 charges against us, which, in the stat sheet, that's a turnover. So that's 8 turnovers just by, stepping in front of our guys and not letting us get to the rim, which was big momentum killers, and, got them the ball and slowed the game down, only scoring, 70 points when we've scored 90 and 100 the first 2 games.
Let's do the reset real quick. So it's Alabama 73 over South Alabama 68. That game was in Tuscaloosa at Coleman Coliseum, 9,038 people there, 59%. Again, I'm going to say it again, great student crowd, an average rest of the crowd. I wish everybody would step it up just a tiny bit there. Cody, what about team stats? Anything jump out to you in this Alabama game?
Hey,
Well,
Auburn's arena, we'd be, Alabama would be.
You should. You should have Auburn's arena.
We should.
first off, I'd like to give a shout out Javon Franklin and Turbo. They're out there playing really good, and I'm glad to see them playing really well, and I hope they have success going forward in this season. But from the Alabama side, it's just more of an observation, and we seen it with Jabari in his first, the contrast between his first game and second game. J.D. Davison and, Bediako. They didn't really impact the game as much in my eyes, because they're young and they're, that's just what young guys do. They kind of float in and out. They don't bring the physicality and the tenacity all the time like you have to, and you develop as you play D1 basketball. That was really my only observation as far as team wise. Like, hopefully those young guys are able to chip in what we know that they're capable to do.
Yeah.
See, I'm kind of the opposite. I feel like it's kind of the Kessler situation we were talking about. I had someone come up to me and say, JD must have had a bad game because he only had 2 points. But when you watch him play, and when he may not be the guy scoring, but if he's, creating offense for others, using his athletic ability to get to the hole and kick and stuff like that, I thought he really impacted the game, especially against South Dakota State. Maybe not from the scoring column, but from other columns that maybe don't show up as much.
Well, no, I thought he did play good against South Dakota State. It was just kind of this to me, he wasn't impacting the game and providing the same amount of spark as he was in this game.
Yeah, he took 3 shots. If I've got his stats correctly, he only took 3 shots. He had 2 assists and 3 turnovers. And something to keep in mind, he only played 22 minutes when Shackelford played 35, Cornerly played 36, Ellis played 31. JD only with 21 or 22. Does that mean anything right now?
No, just growing pains.
Yeah, I think it's early in the season, and it's just kind of him trying to figure out, because even if you are a 5-star athlete coming in or 5-star recruit coming in, it's tough. It's still an adjustment. Obviously, it's not an adjustment like going from college to the NBA, but going from high school to college, it's more physical, the speed. There's a lot of factors that key into it. In South Alabama to go along with it had Franklin from Auburn. I know, what's his Turbo?
Yeah, he didn't play. He was hurt.
I knew he didn't play. Then Manning from LSU. Then you had Chandler from Texas A&M. So you had some guys that played a lot of minutes in SEC ball. So they knew what the atmosphere was going to be coming in. They knew the physicality. They'd been there before. So they wasn't, they're not going to be in there wide-eyed and, looking for an easy way out. They're going to compete, and that's what they did last night.
Hey, one more South Alabama guy. I don't think he's a transfer, but this Caio Consalves, he was good. They're like stretch 4 guy. He could really shoot the basketball.
Yeah. Played solid defense. He probably had, I didn't see his stat sheet, but he had to have at least 3 or 4 charges too.
He was kind of keeping up with the guards from Alabama, not just a huge liability. Yeah. That guy, if he's got an extra year of eligibility, we're going to go get him.
Yeah.
I like South Alabama's spot, though, of like kind of sending guys down that way. They're still a good basketball program. They're going to be coached well. Maybe something didn't happen at their current school. I think it's a good spot to be.
I do too. So it's unique because like you're not an SEC school. I think Richie Riley's got a unique program in that he knows he's not going to go out and get the 4 and 5 stars in Alabama because they're going to go to Alabama and Auburn, and maybe UAB will pick up one here and there. But he's going to go out and try to get the best transfers. He's going to recruit the transfer portal. Now it's hard as a coach because you got all these guys coming in from different. So to implement your system in only a matter of months when they come there in the summer is hard. But it's unique because these guys are veteran guys that have, played a lot of collegiate ball at these big schools. So it's kind of fun to watch.
And high character guys. I know I can speak for the Auburn guys. Turbo and Javon were great guys. I hated to see them.
Yeah, that is questionable when you start going for transfers. Like, why are they transferring? There's got to be some stuff there. But some team stats that jumped out to me. I assume they'll be similar to what y'all see in the Alabama game. 7 of 27 from the 3-point line is not good enough for Alabama to win most games. How they play, that's 26%. 63% from the free throw line is generally not going to be good enough for them to win games. -1 on the rebounding battle. 9 blocks was fantastic. And then, of course, 13 assists to 22 turnovers. That's kind of what jumped out to me. I know those are the basic ones, but they had red flags on them for a game like that. What about y'all team stats wise?
Yeah, it's tough.
8 turnovers versus South Dakota State. I think they might have had like 8 or 10 turnovers the game before against Louisiana Tech, but 22 turnovers, that's obviously the thing I can imagine they're working on in practice, and that's what Nate Oates is drilling home and watching film is a lot of them are just careless turnovers. A lot of them were, driving to the lane.
Over driving, yeah.
Just jump stop. I know a lot of times jump stop may slow you down, but at the same time it's going to create that from being a charge and giving them the ball. But
I bet that was 6 or 7 of them at least.
At least. And a lot of them were, I don't have the stat right off the top, but I know a lot of them were live ball turnovers, and those are hurting because South Alabama was getting a lot of points in transition, and that's points that are layups and open threes. And that's a lot of, it's hard to get back on defense and stop those transition points. So I just think going forward, the turnovers were the ones that kind of stuck out to me.
Let me ask you this, you Alabama guys. So Keon Ellis and Shackelford, they're shooting the ball really well this year. To be expected. Who's going to be that third guy that's shooting from deep? Who do y'all are expecting to?
It's kind of a mixture. You got, of course, you expect Quinterly to get his percentages up. I mean, a dude that shot 123s last year at a 43% clip. That's high. And then I don't know if you've noticed, but Darius Miles, that's 3 straight games he scored in double figures and shooting it very high percentage, 6'7", tall, lanky guy that can score. He's a guy that last year we knew he had potential, and I kind of spoke on it in the first podcast, but just young, careless with the ball. It really couldn't afford to have him in there in tight games. Whereas this year, he's going to get significant minutes if he keeps producing like he is.
Yeah, he's averaging 11.3 points, and that's kind of the reason why I asked. I was kind of wondering about his how deep is his range. I know he is active, and I see him he's cleaning up a lot of mid-range shots and stuff.
I think you got to add to it. It's Gurley. Yeah. I think obviously he's not shooting the ball well right now, but his shot, you can tell a good shooter. He's got confidence and his shot looks good. He's just missing them long or, missing them short. They're not really bad right or really bad left. So they're good misses. But I think once he kind of finds a rhythm, then he'll start, being pretty effective from the 3-point line.
Yeah, I'm right there. I'm right there with Riley. I think it's going to be Noah Gurley. I think he's going to get that figured out. But, I'll start looking at the individual stats, and I was shocked that Quinterly's stat line was as bad as it was. I thought he played pretty well. Like, I was looking out there, I guess just late in the game, he ended up being the guy with the basketball and kind of closing that thing out a little bit. Were y'all a little surprised? I thought he played better than his stat line indicates.
He's sneaky. He's one of those guys that he does so much that a lot of his bad gets kind of misportrayed, kind of hides. But you could tell he was struggling shooting the ball, really scoring. He didn't score the ball that well. But, he was still creating. And like you said, late in the game, if you need a guy to kind of control your offense and get you in something, you're still going to rely on your veteran. But yeah, it's tough seeing him struggle because he's got a good looking shot and you've seen it go in a lot. But, yeah, it maybe he can get it together here shortly.
I thought he played better. Comes up. I thought he played better defensively than he's getting much credit for, too. I know everybody's giving Keon Ellis a lot of credit, but a lot of times in the second half, if you'll go back and watch, Quinterly was the guy picking up the ball handler pretty high up there and giving a lot of effort. Maybe when he's not playing as well offensively, that spurs him to do a little bit more of the defensive stuff.
And I think a big play that kind of what you said that was kind of undervalued or maybe not seen because it was on the defensive end, but I think Alabama may have been up 3, 4, 5, maybe a minute, maybe a little over a minute left, and I know they passed the ball to the left wing, South Alabama did, and he was defending on an island by himself, and he took a charge. I mean, it was a tough play to guard by yourself on an island, but the guy took one dribble left and kind of pushed off, and he was there to take a charge. It was a huge play that late in the game.
Kind of funny that's what Oates was talking in his presser before the game yesterday was, that's what they've been trying to get Quinterly to improve the most because that's kind of what's been hindering him to making that next level jump is his defense. That's where his question marks are. And he said he's had a really good week of practice on the defensive side of the ball, and they were ready to, kind of see if it translates into this next game. So it's kind of good to see that step being made by him.
Well, I thought he was good. Like, I really thought he was good on the defensive end because there's a couple times I looked up and I thought it was somebody else. I was like, who was up there pressuring the basketball? But it was him. That's something that Bruce Pearl said a few years ago to Jared Harper, that you've got all the talent to be a really good defender. You got long arms, you're quick, you're strong for your size. Why are you not making more plays on defense? And I think if Quinterly gets that in his head, that will take him to the next level.
Sure.
Yeah, I agree.
I thought the other big guard stat to me was Shackford had 10 rebounds in the game. He had 5 turnovers to 1 assist. That was kind of rough. But Shackford doing some of that dirty work stuff. If Alabama's going to play as small as they are at times, they're going to have to be guards get down there and rebound the basketball.
Yep.
Yeah, they have to rebound. They have to win, especially when they go Gurley at the 5. Because then you look at the next biggest guy, and it's probably going to be
Ellis.
Yeah, it depends. If Juwan Gary's not in there, which he's about 6'8", it's going to be Ellis at 6'6". So you're going to have to get some production from him and Shaq and everyone. It's going to have to be team rebound. Davison, when he's in the game, he's so athletic and he's kind of big to be a true freshman. He's going to have to get in there, mix it up, and rebound because, like I said, there's no skill to rebound it. You got to get in there and just mix it up. You got to want to do it. It's something that's got to, it's got to be driven within. But I think that I think Shaq getting 10 rebounds was big because they had to have them from him.
Yeah, kind of looking at the rotation, I think it was the same thing as the game before. It was 7-man with Gary out for the game, which I think was significant. I've got Bediako played 25 or 26 minutes. Gurley played 21. Ellis played 31. Miles played 20. Shackford 35. Cornerly 36, and Davison 22. What about Holt? Tell me something about this Holt guy. He comes in, gets about 8 minutes off the bench, and see a whole lot from him. Really, tell me about his game.
Yeah, true freshman out of Georgia, got good size, 6'6", but was a really good rebounder and scorer at the high school level. I think he played at a smaller high school in Georgia, but still really productive, got really good size. I think they expect a lot out of him, but you're seeing more growing pains with him as a freshman, catching up to the speed of the game. And he's another guy later on in the season that if he develops, he may be able to produce. He came in and got Nate Oates kind of touched on it, gave us a good stretch where he had like 3 rebounds and, a couple minutes, a lot of hustle diving on the floor. And so that was something to see, especially, he came in early off the bench, which didn't happen in the first 2 games. So Oates is testing out his young guys and his bench to see who he can rely on and get some extra minutes out of.
Do you think he's gonna have to see it in a game, from a freshman? Do you earn it during practice and then you get some time in the game and see what happens, and that's something that could expand?
So I do. I think it's something you got to see in practice and see in the game as well. I mean, meaning I think that one reason he got a lot of more playing time, if you look at the San Diego State game, I don't think he got in unless it was at the very end. So Juwan Gary being out kind of limited the rotation, and then they got some early fouls. I know Keon picked up a foul like 2 minutes into the game. So they kind of got some early fouls on, and I think he's trying to figure it out. I mean, it's one of those games where I've been in those that it's kind of no one's really playing good. There's low energy. We got to do something to spark this. So let's give him a try. Let's see what he's about. I mean, I'm sure he seems like a great kid. He's been practicing hard. They said he can shoot the ball really well, but I think it's more of that. And if he comes in and gives, it's like Drew said, a stretch of 3 rebounds, just something to help the team out.
Another thing being watching Alabama over the years, one big stat that visual aspect was Bediako with 5 blocks. Now, if you watch Bama post Dante Hall, they haven't really had that rim protector, especially in the Nate Oates era, to kind of, just be a force down there for people to drive to and, kind of respect that, hey, yeah, I can't just go up easy and get shots as opposed to these last couple of years. So seeing the 5 blocks from the young freshman, that was really big in my point of view.
I thought he moved his feet okay too. Javon Franklin tried to take him off the dribble a couple times, and he stayed in front of him pretty well.
Yeah.
I mean, I think he's got some tools, no doubt.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree.
And 26 minutes, I mean, that's a step up from game 1. So it may be something that keeps growing and growing. I guess we'll see. There's one offensive thing that I absolutely hate, and Riley mentioned the pocket pass earlier. Somebody threw him one at like the free throw line, and he ran all over somebody. He took one dribble and just truck through somebody. They cannot throw him the basketball where he has to make a move. They throw that thing up to him.
I will say though, yeah, he did. There was a bunch of those, charges you can avoid. But then if you kept watching, I know one in the second half, I believe it might have been for an open 3. It pocket passed.
He swung it to the corner.
He swung it to the corner. The guy, man in the corner, came and helped in. So he swung it to the corner for open 3. I think it was Keon Ellis in the corner. But I think he's kind of is catching up to him. I think the game is a little fast right now, as you can imagine. But he keeps hanging in there and keeps sticking with it. I think he's going to be a key player for Alabama.
All things considered, again, small sample size, projecting forward, do you think he's part of your closing your closing unit?
It's hard. It's too early to tell. I think it depends. And I think it depends on who you play. Do they got a big guy that's going to be dominant like Louisiana Tech? If that big guy was at the end of the game, you're going to have to go big, because I don't think Gurley is going to match somebody that's 6'9" or 6'10" that's 250 pounds and can score over each shoulder. I just think it's hard. He's just a little bit thinner, undersized. And I think he plays more better at the 4 when it's a bigger big. But right now he's been playing good. I think it's kind of game to game thing and just kind of see where it is. I mean, it's early. You can mess with lineups and tweak lineups, but it'll be interesting to see what going forward, who's going to be at the end of the game. They're going to find out here soon. with Kansas in the tournament they're about to be in next week, and then
Gonzaga in 4 games.
All right, last one more talking point before we switch to the games coming up. I do want to ask one more thing about the turnovers. So, the 22 turnovers. These are a lot of players that have played. I mean, there are some returners on this Alabama team. That was too many. What do y'all attribute to? Because I'm watching Nate Oates swing them down, telling them to go, go, go. He wants them to play fast. What do you attribute it to? Is that just trying to get your bearings on this season, or is it something that at some point you have to change your style of play if you keep turning the basketball over like that?
I think a lot of it came from just, trying to create. You saw 8 of them came off of charges, which is just getting downhill. And
how do you play hard? How do you be aggressive and play hard and still not make that last little charge?
I think a lot of them jump stops. I think
it's under control.
As it sounds, I think stopping or maybe trying to euro and get around them, because a lot of the times when they did drive, it wasn't that they were trying to shoot the ball, but most of them they were jumping in
out.
Pass.
Yeah.
So it was a lot of
frustrating.
Yeah. But
I just see Jaden Shackelford do something like that. I'm like, man, he's been around a while. Like, he shouldn't still be making that play.
I think Shaq's the one exception. He's been doing it all 3 years. I don't know if that's going to really change. Once he's downhill, he's downhill.
Yeah,
these other guys I can't vouch for like that.
He had a couple too that was just over dribbling. There was a couple guys,
back tap.
JD Davison had a couple of bad turnovers, but he's going to have those. Those are freshman lulls that you gotta. It don't matter. Like I said, top 10 player in the nation, but it's going to happen, and it's just something you got to figure out and work out. And I know Nate Oates, that's one big thing he's probably, getting on them and film about.
We do jump stops at the first 5 minutes of practice.
Is there any situation where you change how you play, or hey, this team has to get to where I want to get, no matter how hard we got to keep working at it?
I think he recruited these guys to play this way. And like J.D. Davison, kids like that, they play better in this style of offense. So you don't change how you play. You just, continue to develop. And because, especially with returning guards who's played big minutes, they can play that style. So let's just, clean up the mistakes and improve on them.
I think that to go along with your point, Al, I think he's had a chance to get his recruiting class. He's had a chance to kind of adapt the players for a couple of years in the way he wants to play. Now, if this was year one, you saw year one, he has some struggles with, some of the guys that, it's just year one trying to adapt from Avery to his style of play was totally different. I mean, exact opposite. So you're going to see some turnovers. You're going to see some growing pains. You're going to see some people not knowing what the other person's going to do. I think now that he's got his players in there, it's more obviously you're going to have games like this, but at the same time, I think it just makes it a lot easier. You know what to expect. Coming in as a recruit, this is how I'm going to play, shoot open shots, play fast, try to get, a lot of pick and roll. So I think they understand the thing. I think it's just trying to figure out right now. It's so early. I think it's trying to figure out kind of what everybody role, if there's roles, kind of what they're best at, each night.
I'm with y'all. I just think at some point, I love to play fast too, but it's like you didn't have the competitive advantage over South Alabama when they were getting back and you weren't scoring in that way. So like it was like you weren't taking advantage of it being better than them on the half court offense. Like Alabama wasn't really doing anything on half court. Cody, you mentioned Herb Jones a minute ago. Herb looks more and more valuable every Alabama game. You're like, this dude did a lot out on the court on both ends.
Well, you're seeing it in the NBA. I mean, he's getting a lot of run in New Orleans. But so to go off Alabama's turnover woes, I've been too nice to Alabama all night. That's something I've been really impressed with Auburn. I feel like our pace has been high, but our turnovers have been pretty low, considering, which is so refreshing to see from last year where we were just, whoever had the ball just brought it up the court. So really who's going to initiate.
Well, I don't know if you saw Bruce's today. Bruce had his media availability and they asked him about that. And he was like, man, this is fantastic, these turnover numbers. But he said, I don't know that that's going to last. He said, we got some better competition coming up this weekend, next week. He said, don't expect that to stay that way.
Yeah.
So let's move into that. What's Alabama got coming up? I know Auburn's next game is Friday in Tampa. against South Florida, but they're playing at the Civic Center down the road where the SEC tournament's going to be. First of all, y'all, I mean, I think it's a good move to do that, but does that mean anything playing a game in the building and then playing there again in a few months?
No, not that you're so far away.
Right.
And also the crowd, right? I think Kentucky, they're going to dominate just about anywhere they go. So they're going to sell out that crowd. I don't know how big the arena is or how much it sits.
It's like a hockey arena. So,
Okay.
it's like Bridgestone-ish.
Okay. Yeah. I don't know what kind of, a lot of those tournaments, even the Maui's going to sell it because the gym's so small, but even like when we played at the Barclays Center against Minnesota, like it was a good atmosphere, but it wasn't like an SEC tournament atmosphere. The crowds weren't as big. I mean, it's a lot of tournaments. People are going on vacation, Thanksgiving. I mean, it's just a lot going on in these big cities, but I don't think it's going to play a factor, but it's going to be cool to play there. I think it's cool to go to, down there and play South Florida at a, I say neutral site, but it's obviously favoring South Florida.
Well, yeah. I mean, it is neutral site though. I mean, it's not in their place, so they're playing at that Civic Center. So I think it's a good game. It'll be a fun game to watch, and then we'll talk a lot next week about Auburn going down to the Bahamas and playing in all those games. UConn's looked really good all of a sudden, so that's challenging. What's Alabama got on the docket coming up?
We got Oakland coming up this Friday, which if you're not familiar with them, lost by 7 to West Virginia, beat Oklahoma State the other night. Then Toledo later. So it's going to be a good test for us. It's another one of those.
Who's scheduling these games for Alabama? Why are they playing the best teams in every little conference? They're just asking for an upset. John Rothstein's going to come after them.
I know the epitome of brutality is lurking, but it's one of those things, man. At the end of the season, if you got wins over these teams, and it really looks good on you, and a loss to a conference winner may not look bad, but then if they go on a losing streak and don't play well, then a loss looks bad.
It doesn't look bad to people like us. It looks bad to the casual everyday guy. What's Nate Oates doing? Like if you were to lose to one of these games.
Who is Oakland? Where are they at?
I was trying to find them in my magazine here. What conference is Oakland in? Do y'all know?
So they're in Michigan, I believe, the state, but I don't know what conference if that's the Horizon.
Yeah, I knew they weren't actually West Coast.
Yeah, it's the Horizon. They're in the Horizon League.
I think they're the Horizon League with like Wright State.
I don't think they put the Horizon League in my magazine here.
You know who they got? Alabama next week. They have Patino. Iona.
What are they doing? Why are they playing Iona?
Well, that's the first round of the ESPN class or ESPN tournament in Orlando.
And it's got a lot of good teams in it, so it's gonna be interesting to see kind of how it unfolds. But they got Dayton. I think Miami might be in there, and then they got. Go ahead.
Y'all have Houston coming up, but I don't think that's part of the tournament, is it?
No, we go to Gonzaga after the tournament. We go to Gonzaga at the beginning of December. Then Houston comes to Tuscaloosa.
Is Houston supposed to be good this year? I love watching them.
They're really good. They beat Virginia by 20+ last night.
Yeah, I'm wondering about Virginia all of a sudden. They're not looking so hot.
Their offense, man. I don't know if you've seen them play, but I think their defense was a lot better in the past, and they're holding people to 40 points, and they could at least score to 60. Well, now they're not scoring more than 40 or 50 points. It's hard to beat a.
Couldn't happen to a better group. I hate that for them. So Auburn's got USF on Friday, and then next week they start the tournament. What day does Alabama play Oakland?
Friday.
They play them Friday
in Tuscaloosa.
In Tuscaloosa.
All right, hey, I'm asking for a better crowd. Is Alabama a home football game Saturday?
Yeah, they got
Arkansas
pack
home.
That place out.
That's what I'm saying, man. These season ticket holders need to get on it. Students showing up, showing out. It's time.
A couple of games I want to point out that it's just kind of cool to see. I think this weekend Tennessee plays Villanova. That's 17 versus 5. So that'll be a good game on Saturday. Then also I had scheduled Auburn and UConn next Wednesday to start the Bahama tournament. That'll be a 21 versus 23. So that'll be a good 2 good games to catch coming up.
Yeah, before we jump out here, anybody else, y'all seen any other games or players or teams or anything that's jumped out to you?
LSU had a great win against Liberty. Liberty is a very underrated team.
Brody Peebles, shout out Hartselle.
That's a dangerous mid-major team to play.
Brody Peebles played really well. He shot the ball really well and distributed it really well. He didn't look like a freshman out there, I'll tell you that. And I think Darius Days for LSU is going to be their go-to.
How long has he been there? He's pushing the Riley Norris record of games.
For real.
He's been there. He's getting his doctorate like I did.
Anybody else, Drew, you seen anything?
I got to catch some of the Seton Hall Michigan game. I don't know if y'all caught that.
That was a shocker,
really good.
Yeah.
That was really good. Michigan's going to be good, too. They got that freshman guard. Houston is really good, a couple bigs. But it's crazy to see all these mid majors, playing so well right now, which shows you kind of what experience will do for you and stuff like that. But
I'm happy for him because I was a little worried with the transfer portal guys moving up. With Auburn getting a guy from Eastern Kentucky and a guy from College of Charleston, Alabama getting the guy from Furman. It's like, if our best players are going to move up every single time, are we just beating our heads against the wall? Is this going to even work? I know they're going to get some on the way down too, but they're losing their best player. That's going to be tough for them, I feel like.
Yeah, for sure.
I agree. I got last thing. I got just around the SEC. I got 6 teams from the SEC in the top 25, which is awesome. I think that's actually the most of any conference, any Power 5, any conference in the nation. I think maybe the Big Ten's got 5 or so. I'm not sure, but 6 teams. That shows how strong and how much the SEC, how much respect they're getting.
Does that not include Mississippi State too?
That includes not Mississippi State.
Because they're good, I think. State's going to be good.
State's going to be good. And then
talk about another team that hit the transfer portal up big time.
Yeah, they're good. They got a lot of veteran guards, and they had Garrison Brooks from North Carolina, so they're going to be tough.
Bama goes to Memphis here, after they play Houston in December. That's going to be a tough game. They've been playing – Money Base has been playing pretty well there. That's going to be a fun one to watch.
Hey, did y'all see it real quick? Auburn, I saw they play Nebraska, correct? I think that might be – is that at
in
Nebraska?
Atlanta?
Oh, Atlanta.
Mm-hmm.
That's at that hoops giving or whatever.
December
December 11th.
They lost their best player, maybe.
Broke his foot, yeah.
Yeah, broke his foot.
Wow.
Yeah, that's tough. This early in the season, yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, that's going to be another good. We'll talk about that. I think it's like the second week of December. Is that what you said, Cody? The 11th?
December
maybe?
11th, yeah.
It's like an all-day thing at State Farm Arena in Atlanta with like 5 different schools playing somebody else. I was surprised Alabama wasn't in it. Honestly, it's like Auburn playing somebody, State playing somebody, Clemson playing somebody. I don't know how that works.
We played last year, but that's the day Houston comes to Tuscaloosa. So I guess
I wish that was. Well, I guess if it's going to be in Tuscaloosa, that'd be better. But it would be a good game to be in Atlanta too.
Yeah, true.
We need to go to that one.
I've been looking into it.
There might be a Hawks game the night before.
I've been looking into it. They do play somebody good on like Thursday, I think, and I was trying to figure out a way to make it work. And then I was going into my Braves budget, and I was having a budget crisis about 2 weeks ago. There's a lot going on. I really want to go.
Good time to be an Atlanta sports fan.
No doubt, except for the Falcons, right? We're all Panthers fans here. I'm just gonna let y'all know. All right. Well, if y'all have anything else, we'll wrap it up. We'll come in next week, talk about Friday night's game, and then a whole lot of holiday tournament stuff to talk about. There's going to be some good ones, Auburn and UConn coming up. So if y'all don't have anything else, we'll wrap it up. We'll see y'all next week.
Enjoyed it.
All right.